Oh my gosh, splitting right at the pelvis. I love how it's like 3 nice fountains of blood that are just pouring out. Like, where are those coming from? If you look at the legs, it looks like there's 2 bones. You only got 1 up in the thighs. You got the femur. Man, where have all these been? I wasn't expecting that. Hey, Dr. Jordan Wagner here, your favorite board-certified ER doctor, back at it again. Today, we're going to be checking out the fatalities of Mortal Kombat 9. So we chose this game from 2011 because the die-hard fans for Mortal Kombat consider this game to have the best fatalities in the franchise. This isn't every fatality, it is only the best one. Otherwise, we'd be sitting here for hours. We chose Cyborg Sub-Zetro to complete all the fatalities on. Rest assured, this cyborg does have anatomy that is comparable to a human, but has blue blood. This way we keep the monetization on the video. Oh, right in the ear. So think about it, you're getting stabbed right in the ear. One, that's gonna hurt. There's not like major blood vessels there because you have other major structures like bone and these semicircular canals and your cochlea. They're all kind of back in there. Not a ton of blood. So you're not gonna get like squirting blood like that, but you're gonna get a ton of pain. And then obviously if you get a slice to the neck, you're gonna hit that carotid artery, which is gonna spurt out. But again, remember, it's gonna spurt with the pumps of your heart, not just like pour out. Oh, nice. Come on. Can the strength of a human do that? Probably not. Say I'm in a trauma and we do a thoracotomy where we crack open the chest and I need to get more space. Yes, you can potentially use your own muscles to kind of pull it apart a little bit more, but it's already cut open. Versus this, he's ripping through. And then where's your big massive tube, your aorta coming down? So you need to see that. That would have been sick if you saw it like rip in half and then just like bleed out on top of it. Oh! That's so messed up. Nice. Okay, it's just being beaten to death by your own femur. Okay. So, wait a minute. Okay, could you rip somebody's leg off from the femur? No. Like, literally, I've had to do above the knee amputation. I had to use a saw. If it's already broken and the skin is ripped, could you do it? Maybe, but you still have all that muscle that's like super ropey. Big strip of filet mignon, right? It's like this long. And if you try to rip it, it's pretty hard to do. So again, same with humans, right? But then at a joint, if the joint's already like cracked open, what's holding that together? It's just mostly ligaments and some tendons around it. You might have a better chance because you don't have to break the bone. Oh my gosh, splitting right at the pelvis. Nice. Oh my gosh. All right, so conceivable, potentially really good idea by the creators, but no, you're not gonna be able to split somebody by just ripping there. Again, you have all the connective tissue. Like, come on, you got blood just dumping out. The major blood vessels actually go down each leg that are branches off the aorta. So it's almost like the wishbone that we see, right? When you crack that wishbone open, it's the same idea right here with the blood vessels would rip open and then just dump all that blood out. The attempt of showing that there's some reflexes, even post-mortem, it's realistic. It's just typically not shaking like that. It's more just twitches. Come on. Good job. I like the idea. I like the creativity. We get patients that come in with what's called congestive heart failure, and sometimes they feel like they're going to explode. But what actually happens when they have so much fluid in their body, they actually get these little holes that develop in their tissue, and they're literally leaking water, but it actually is like serous fluid. The only way to get the fluid out of their body is literally to pee it out or dialysis. Just step on them. Nice. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I don't know if you guys know that movie or not, but good movie back in the day. The ants that we kill or the insects that we kill, it's the same kind of thing, but you're just getting destroyed. Now, would you explode? No. You just get smushed like a Pepsi can and just compressed down, and there'll be some blood. But at that point, you're not having the same volume of blood in your body, so it's only going to be a little bit. Oh, please tell me sliced. Nice. Awesome. With this type of injury, hypothetically, right, you got probably a couple seconds before your body really realizes what's happening. Like literally like 1 to 2 seconds. I've had people who've gone into cardiac arrest, their heart stopped on the monitor, and they're still talking to me. But then all of a sudden, like a second or two later, they're out cold and dead, they're limp, all that stuff. Euphoria, decreased perfusion to your brain, those will cause you to pass out. And then shortly thereafter, if you don't have enough blood going to the tissue to oxygenate it, you'll die pretty damn fast. Oh, yes. Knew that was coming. Oh, come on. Nice. I love how it's like 3 nice fountains of blood that are just pouring out. Like, where are those coming from? Maybe the jugular, maybe the carotids, heart, obviously. But then in the pelvis, where is it coming from? When would he actually die? I don't know. I'd want to die before that freaking thing happened because that's probably going to be pretty painful up until probably where you're slicing through the heart and then to the brain. You'd be surprised how heavy a human body is when it is dead or limp. An adult male, 200 pounds, you're trying to hold them is dead weight. No way. People put that on their back to squat or they're using straps to deadlift that bad boy up, but to hold it up like that with your shoulders, no way. Oh, give me that heart. Nice. I love the attempt of the body shaking as he's basically dead. But remember Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? Like, Kalima! Rips the heart out, like same idea. Could it still be beating? Probably for a second or two. It'd be pretty cool. Would you instantly die right away? You might see your heart as you die, but then you won't remember it because you're dead. Even that split second, you're going to be altered and out of it. So unlikely that you'll remember it, but could you look at it? Potentially. Again, you'll be in shock pretty damn fast. That's actually pretty good. Oh, he's got a brain. Nice. So that was cool. So we were able to have traumatic fracture of the skull, that the skull comes off. The likelihood that it just, the bone pops off doesn't happen that way. And obviously the brain is actually like white and gray versus red. It's the dura mater, which basically covers the brain. It's like a very thin piece that would be coating it as well. Ooh. Oh. Couple broken bones in those feet. This, Cyborg Sub-Zetro does not have good femurs, is what I'm getting out of this. You have a ton of bones in your feet, ton of bones in your hand. They can either fracture right through it or actually go in between. Not gonna have that much bleeding right away until you actually pull it out, which again, pull it out at the hospital. Don't pull it out at home unless you can't move, right? Femur bones, super hard to break. And when they do break, it hurts like hell. And then the question ends up being like, he's sitting there, could he survive? Totally. Just put some tourniquets on those legs, right? We discussed tourniquets. Get the blood supply to stop bleeding out, basically distal to where the tourniquet is, and then get to the hospital and bring the pieces. There's always a potential when it comes to big amputations. You never know. They might be able to put it back together. Nice. Goodbye, arms. Oh, damn. I'm in trouble. Nice. I like the extra edge. If you look at the legs, it looks like there's 2 bones. You only got 1 up in the thighs. You got the femur. The gelatinous movement of the body as it's pinned into the ground, no, it'll just flop right over. Like how you could actually stand that bad boy up, and it's just gonna bend. It's not gonna kind of wiggle like that. That's like for more of a music video. Whoa. Oh. That's just adding insult to injury. Nice. Nice. Come on. So the continuous fountain of blood out of the arms, nope, doesn't happen, obviously. It's not a continuous amount of blood in there. Your arms are actually not directly connected to your body except by a super simple joint. If you're able to stretch and pull those out, obviously you can rip the arm as long as the integrity of the skin is lost. They're not light. These things are heavy. If you're thinking about using somebody else's arm, you're gonna have to swing really hard to get good momentum to be able to hit somebody with it. Ooh, what's this? What's this? Explosion. Oh, damn. That's a good one. and the body's still kind of like wiggling, likely would happen, right? Because you just have like floppy limbs. That separation is gonna take a little bit, a couple seconds for the patient to be out, but you're not gonna last very long. You actually don't have a connection of your brain to your body anymore, and you're not gonna know. Oh, nice. I'm over this. That was pretty badass. Could you crack through the skull like squeezing it like a tomato if you're massively strong and you have arms like that? But as a human, unlikely, right? You can cause some fractures. You can cause rupture of the eardrums if you have enough pressure. All the air goes shooting into the ear canals and cause a ton of pain. And you also have to think about like epidural hematomas, where you injure the middle meningeal artery, which basically causes a lens type of bleeding, which then can cause you to herniate over. You have something called a lucid interval where you feel fine and then you wake up dead. Catch that? You don't wake up. Oh man, nice. How the heck did he do that? Oh, I love it. Awesome. Knock it over. Actually, that was pretty darn creative. Your hand would probably definitely be broken unless you've taken the time to acclimate your hand. Like my buddy Noah, he's basically describes that like over repetitiveness, you're basically getting your hand desensitized, the nerves, and then it's actually building up like calcium onto the bones themselves, so they're stronger per se. The amount of blood coming out, again, you split down the middle that way, there's not that many vessels. They come up this way on the sides and then filter in, so you only have some bleeding. Oh, nice, my favorite. Give me some intestines. That's pretty funny. That was a good fatality. The intestines are actually pretty darn good in this one. The newer games with the fatalities show like pieces of intestines that aren't attached, flying everywhere. Here we're getting just the string, the sausage, but at least it's together instead of in pieces. It did a pretty good job. Sliced open, you got the intestines coming out. Are you gonna die from that? No, it's just going to be painful for a short period of time, then you become euphoric. It's not going to be as painful anymore. If you're hitting high up here, you're going to cause pneumothorax, hemothorax, fractures, and there's potentially major branches off the aorta, which you could bleed out from. Could die, but he's probably more altered and he's going to sit there for a little while just chilling in misery. Ooh. Take that. Is it still beating? It is. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Massive trauma to the chest, able to rip through, right? You got the sternum there. Like the fact that we need to drill into it to get into it, or when we have surgeries for open heart surgeries, use a saw to cut through. This guy's crazy strong if he can just punch right through it. So the heart structure itself is muscle, right? It's all muscle, but it's filled because there's blood in there. Once the blood comes out, it actually gets pretty squishy. It feels like a smushed pancake of muscle. Whoa, what's happening? Nice. Loved it. Actually like the anatomy on this one. I am an anatomy buff, but the fact that when they split him open, they actually showed one side was asymmetric compared to the other. The meat on one side and then the bones on the other, which was pretty damn cool. We're not perfect side to side. We're asymmetrical, so to speak. Nice. Into the abdomen, right upper shoulder area. Oh, that's just messed up. Whoa, 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 wait a minute. PG, come on. Obviously, they're showing people getting dismembered and killed. The subclavian vein sits right underneath your clavicle up here, right at the spot where that spike went right through. So you could actually have some major bleeding going on. The hard part about this is you can't put pressure on it to stop it if it's bleeding. It's pretty hard to bite someone's tissue. We get a lot of people that come in with like actually bite wounds from another human. Humans stop at a certain level when it comes to biting, normally. I've seen people get their ears bitten off, almost like a Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield kind of thing. Animal bites, depending on the animal, sometimes you can actually have it rip out the tissue. Oh, Dunzo. Oh, what the heck? Come on, I love it, I love it. Could that actually happen in real life? Well, listen. Your brain's still intact, your heart's still intact, and you still have blood supply in your body. It takes time for the blood to disappear. You can Google this. There are people that live with no lower extremities and no pelvis. Think about it. You got your kidneys that are mid, but do you need them right away? No, you can go on dialysis, right? Hemodialysis. So people live without their kidneys. Pretty much your pancreas you can't live without. We have people who have a bag for their intestines to get the poop out. If you're able to somehow stop the bleeding, get the blood back, and keep things circulating, you potentially can survive it. And then the question is, could you crawl on the ground like that? You probably don't have the energy to, but you probably can do some sort of like attempted movements. That's just like messed up. Like somehow he was able to get inside the body. Oh, he's gonna kill himself? Nice. Okay. Like, come on. We got sternocleidomastoid. You got your scalene muscles. You have basically your major blood vessels. You got all your paraspinal musculature in the back of your neck. And then you got your vertebral column. Like, I want to see all that stuff in these games because I want to see the detail. I want to see things being ripped off. I want to see the blood vessels bleeding out. And then the issue ends up being, how long will you survive after having your decapitation? You got to bleed out. You have to basically have the body recognize that there's no more impulses from the brain to do anything, and it'll be shortly after. Seconds, no longer than a minute. Oh, nice. Yes. I love it. So we have some unique anatomies going on here. So skin, it is the largest organ of our body. How cool is that? You know, think about your hands and your feet. The only really good way to get that off per se is a degloving type of injury where you actually fold it back the opposite direction. That's pretty much how you have to be able to get the skin off there, so it needs to turn inside out to be able to get it out. And that's pretty much how you're going to take the skin off of everything else anyway. It's going to be inside out. But I would say your hands and your feet are going to be giving you the most agita if you had that skill and strength and situation where you're pulling skin off somebody. Oh. Nice. Wow. So can noise cause your head to explode? Sometimes I feel like it does. You can rupture your tympanic membrane, which is your eardrum itself. You can actually cause a rupture to that, and then it could bleed and cause a lot of pain. But the fact that they actually use this fatality is actually pretty good. It's the first time I've ever seen it. Only half the brain got destroyed. I would say probably the whole thing would get messed up, and the side actually closer to where the noise is coming from is going to cause the issue. What the? Nice. Awesome. That's so messed up and grotesque. That incision, depends on how much blood loss you have, will cause you to pass out. There's actually not that many blood vessels down the middle of your abdomen. Down the middle, you have like a ligament that's in the middle, some tendons that are in the middle. If you don't go deep enough, you're just gonna cut through the wall. You're gonna have some leaking blood vessels, but small. So it's gonna take a long time. If you're stuck there for hours to days, if you didn't slice through the intestines and those vessels aren't bleeding, you know, you're gonna be up there for a while. Oh, oh. Kick it off. Nice. Jax is just jacked. Like, super strong. No, you're not going to be able to push somebody in the ground like that, right? But you can cause clavicular fractures, which actually very rarely are repaired because they're such a small bone that actually, if you try to put hardware in there to repair them, it may not actually heal well and you just have pieces of bone in there. I'm glad that they've adapted to showing more vertebral column and spinal column anatomy on subsequent Fatality in the games that have come out later, because there's so much that we missed. We're not getting any neck injuries on these. We're just getting heads that are flying off, which I appreciate, but it's not anatomically accurate. Ooh, a wire. Yep. Oh, nice. So I say nice because sometimes in the games you're like, oh, one pull, it rips right through. The fact that it took a lot of effort to be able to do that actually makes it more realistic. I didn't know this until I was a resident. Sometimes they use a saw that's actually a wire to cut through bone at the hospital. So you can't just like pull, you actually have to saw, and pull at the same time. It'll take you many seconds to maybe a minute to be able to do that, but it is doable. The person's going to be fighting you as well, unless they're sedated or they're out of it or unconscious or they're near death anyway. Wow. Awesome. Finally. Finally, use that more often. We got skull, we got spinal column. Awesome. I loved it. I love that you're able to like see the anatomy and pull it out. Obviously, it's not going to be as rigid as that. It actually could be a little bit more flimsy, right? Because we're able to move and bend in all different directions. So should a freestanding vertebral column do the same thing? Yeah, the head could still be potentially attached. It actually sits on there, so it can actually spin on different axes and the columns, but it's also attached basically by musculature and different soft tissue connection. That needs to be still intact. It's not actually like fused to the spinal column. If it was just bone, then no, it wouldn't necessarily be attached. Oh, nice. Where have all these been? Car accidents are like my forte, right? Unfortunately, people come into the ER all the time tagged by a car. And in this case, they're showing us that he's like got the twitch of death, right? So you could twitch a little bit or have like a jerking motion before you die, but typically it's not as dramatic as it is depicted in this. If you're getting hit by a car like this at this speed, most of the time you're not gonna be decapitated because you need some sort of cutting force or an object to go against it, right? But just a traumatic force like that, no, unlikely that the head's gonna pop off. It's just gonna fracture, whiplash, and stay connected because of all the connective tissue. Oh no, a train. Man. I wasn't expecting that. You're just having trauma to the brain itself, bruising, lacerations. Sadly, this helps people like potentially commit suicide or accidental injuries when they fall onto the tracks. I'm from New York, so these things do happen in the city. Typically, you just see people who like trip, fall. Not that many major injuries of people falling onto the tracks per se, but more just like injuries of the surrounding area because it's a lot of hustle bustle and people moving fast. And so sprained ankles, fractures of the wrists, ankles, that sort of thing. So you don't see it too often. These were good. I've been spoiled with the most recent fatalities, which are just like ridiculous, out of this world. But Skarlet, that was my favorite of this section. Cutting her abdomen open, bleeding out, using the blood to then post up and then slice open the abdomen. That's like torture. The creators were messed up in doing it, but it was really cool to see. And then they took what they learned and did even better with MK11. Loved it. If you guys like this video, check out more videos on Gamology on YouTube as well as Facebook, and you can check out my videos on Dr. ER. See you next time. Nice. Could that actually happen in real life? Well, listen. How many times do I get somebody who comes into the ER with their body missing or half missing? Not very often because they don't survive.